Hello, welcome to this video. It's a little behind the scenes of what I do when I'm writing music for short films or movies, whatever. It's pretty much the same tactics, same approach. So I have to leave tomorrow, so I should be packing, but right now I'm just bought ScreenFlow for the Mac, and so I want to do a quick video before I take off for about a week. So let's jump right in. This is music for a short film by Mile Creations. I'll leave a link in the description. I've written for Brendan Cherry before, and he's really inspired me to be creative in different ways and explore sounds and things that I haven't done before in composition. So yeah, check him out. He does great work. I think the challenge that all composers have when they sit down is, how do I limit myself and how do I limit my music? Some movie music is not unified or cohesive because as the film changes, the music changes sometimes violently, and we're left with this feeling of, okay, I heard the music was beautiful, but I didn't feel like it was unified or connected, and it didn't tell as complete a story as the film may have. So in this particular piece, I chose to limit myself to strictly to triadic harmonies, similar to that of the European contemporary classical composers Peter Goretzky and the like. They write very beautiful music, and in that vein, it was a challenge to make dissonances listenable. I love dissonance and I love tension in music, but I think the scope of this short film demanded that it not be too grating on the ear, but that it be a little more subtle, because I think the messages of the short film are a little more subtle. Yeah, that being said, let's get right into the music. This opening section with the piano here sets up the harmonies and the tonality for the rest of the short cue. As you can see here, it is in 3/4, and I basically only used the notes of the triad of D minor, and it sounds like this: the D, F, and A. With the exception of the final note of the little patterns, I go to an A, which is the 5, or the 5th in the key of D. So let me play it for you. Yeah, as you can see, because I played this with a metronome, this note here falls just before the measure, the downbeat of the 3/4 on measure 10. However, it is to be felt as a downbeat, and the listener doesn't hear the metronome, they just hear groups of 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1. So yeah, the basic pattern here was, and I just kind of moved with that, and you hear it once at the beginning, once at the end, and it surrounds this little ambiguous section here in the middle. Moving on, this section right here is where the title comes up on screen, and so the music is going to build, and you're going to hear semblance of a melody. I did a couple cool things with this part, so here, listen to it, and then we'll talk about it. Again, this passage is in 3/4, but the melody is played in a 4/4 pattern, but when I first laid it down, I had the piano and the viola doing a duet here. The right hand of the piano is doing this 3/4, and it just keeps moving down, just doing the D minor triad. And the viola is doing the opposite pattern, and it's moving upwards, so they kind of meet in the middle, and there's some harmonies where they mesh, and together they sound like this. Now the left hand of the piano is doubling the cello line, which sounds like this. So that's the 3/4 on 4/4. And altogether the string section is playing this. As you can hear, there's a bit of tension where the violins and the violas meet in the middle, so to speak, right around here. Yeah, that's just a little compositional note for the title section with the melody. Now this next part needed to be very much in the background of the film, so I just did a piano and I stuck to the triadic harmonies, major and minor chords, but they were broken up into tenths. Okay, this passage sounds very similar to the composer, the movie score composer Thomas Newman. In fact, whenever I play those chords, I call them Thomas Newman tenths, because he uses those a lot, but that sort of sound is nothing new. Back in high school, when I played piano a ton, I played music by the Argentinian composer Alberto Ginastera, and he at times would mimic the sound of a classical guitar, you know, being Argentinian, and he, you know, you'd hear things like in the left hand of the piano, well, you got something crazy going on in the right hand. Also, that sort of planing where you just take a chord and you keep the same chord, that's very impressionistic, very Debussy, very Ravel. Anyways, it's supposed to be, like I said, very in the background, and it is very beautiful, so that's why I liked that particular sound in that section. I was also setting up harmony for later in the piece, where I have the B flat, which is the flat 6. Well, it'll just be 6 in D minor. So when you have that against the 5, it creates that half-step tension that I thought was also very beautiful. Also, in this passage, the chords move from A to G to B flat major, and that's from G to B flat major is called a chromatic mediant, and it's in a minor third root position. So you have G to B, and then major to minor, and it creates, in the pedal, it creates a cool dissonance with the B and the B flat together. And then I do it again here from A to C. You have the tension. Yeah, and so you'll hear that half-step movement again later in the piece. All right, this section picks up. This immediately following is in 4/4, but it starts a little ambiguous. It sounds almost like a 3/4 with a section of 2 at the end, and it moves like this. So you can hear, again, it's clearly in 3/4, but when it starts, you're not quite sure where it's moving, and I thought it fit the film well to do that. All right, this section is a repeat in some ways of the section back here with the tenths. It just sounds very different. Go ahead and give it a listen. Piano is doing one thing, and here's that relationship. And then you put it over the right hand of the piano, or actually too high. So you have basically these chords. And those are dissonant chords, but you don't really hear it in the context of the rest of the piece. And that's what I was talking about, where I needed to hide the dissonances that I like to use when I compose. Again, that's very Arvo Pärt, Goretzky that I talked about, the European composers that I was somewhat trying to mimic here. And then this end section I wrote, and it's kind of the climax of the film, and it's supposed to be loud and bombastic. And I sent it to him, and he said, Brendan, he said, I kind of want something more there. And I was a little hesitant to do it because I felt that it was so loud and percussive compared to the rest of the piece that it would have stood out too much. But he is the director of the film, and so what he says goes. After all, I am only the composer. And so I added it. I actually ended up liking it because it dies off so suddenly at the end. I didn't want too much of a climax here, but he seemed to think that there needed to be more, and I think he knows best. So give it a listen. Yeah, and then the piece fades out with this really ethereal, creepy sounding passage, and he will fade that out, and then the music for the end of the short film will be, I think he said, a local band. So I didn't have to write end credits music or anything like that, for which I'm grateful, although I do love writing music. So in summary, I think we have to remember as composers that our music is secondary to the film. We don't always get to do what we want or how we want it, so that's why I like to limit myself and challenge myself so that when I'm writing, I don't go, oh, why can't I write what I want? Well, I make it like a academic exercise, and it just makes it really interesting and fun. And also, when you limit yourself, it can help you kind of create your own style, and it helps you solidify who you are so you can market yourself, so you can stand out. Also, something to remember is every second of music that you write for film matters. If there were some transitions that I was really sloppy on here, and I realized how much they stand out, so I had to go back and add fades, I had to go back and add instruments, and it ended up sounding okay, I think, and I mean, I hope you thought it sounded okay. Yeah, every second of music matters because people are listening, even though they're ingrained in the film, but the film and the music should mesh to form one cohesive, beautiful unit that people can enjoy. All right, I hope you got something, you hope you learned something, anything out of this. If this was helpful, let me know in the comment section. If it wasn't, you can also let me know if you like. So thank you for watching. I'm going to go ahead and play the entirety of this piece, and I hope you enjoy it.